everybody. I am Paramjeet Kaur, working as a public health nursing officer at Safdarjung Hospital, New Delhi. So today's topic of discussion is measuring vital signs and checking blood sugar. Vital signs are objective measures of physiological function that are used to monitor acute and chronic diseases and thus serve as a basic communication tool about the patient's status. The purpose of this analysis was to review the age-related changes with a focus on molecular changes, the organ system changes, systemic changes and altered compensation to the stressors. Vital signs change with the age. It may be subtle because of the reduced physiological ranges. However, change from an individual's reference range may indicate important warning signs and thus may require additional evaluation to understand the potential underlying pathological processes. The journal health condition of an elderly person is measured using parameters that indicate the heart rate, blood flow, body temperature and the oxygen supply. So, the main objectives or the key learning outcomes are: number 1, identify and measure the vital signs, identify different routes used in measuring the vital signs, understand the indication and contraindications involved, understand documentation of vital signs, explain the process of checking blood sugar. Let us start with the definition of vital signs. Body temperature, pulse, respiration and blood pressure are the signs of life and thus it is known as vital signs or the cardinal signs. Vital signs in a normal healthy individual remain constant. They are called vital signs because number 1, vital signs are governed by vital organs of the body. Number 2, it gives indication for the condition of the patient. It will indicate sufficient consumption of oxygen, blood depletion, electrolyte imbalance and the bacterial infection or any other problem. Emotional state may cause a significant variation in these symptoms. Assessment of vital signs allow a doctor, a nurse or a caregiver to identify specific life-threatening conditions and plan the needed interventions. Detected the changes in the client's health status, vital signs play a major role in the medical response team in treating an elderly person with a deteriorating condition. They can prevent adverse outcomes and help the person on the road to recovery. Therefore, vital signs monitoring becomes the priority of the caregiver working with the elderly person. Any abnormal change in the vital signs of an elderly patient must be immediately reported to the medical professional or the concerned hospital so that a rapid response team can get involved to save the patient's life. Now, we will see when to check the vital signs. First is at the time of patient's admission, as per the doctor's record, as per the hospital policy, assessing the client during home visit, before and after the surgical procedure, before and after the administration of medications that affect the heart, respiration and the brain. Let us now talk about temperature. What is a temperature? It is the balance between the heat produced and the heat lost in the body. In a normal person, the body temperature may vary between 97 to 99 degree Fahrenheit or 36.1 to 37.2 degrees Celsius. The factors affecting the variation in the body temperature are time of the day, that is the temperature is less in the morning and more in the evening. Second is age of the person. Elderly people will have low body temperature as compared to the young ones. Then emotions, exercises, fasting and such other environmental factors. Now, let us discuss about the thermometer. Thermometer is an instrument which is used to measure the body temperature. It is marked in both Fahrenheit and the Celsius scales. The thermometer has two parts, the bulb containing the mercury and the stem in which the mercury rises. There are two types of thermometers. One is clinical thermometer and second one is the digital thermometer. The common sites for taking body temperature are by mouth, by axilla or by forehead, and rectum also. We use rectum temperature through the rectal thermometer. The articles which are required for measuring these vital signs are: number 1, thermometer, which could be a clinical thermometer or a digital thermometer, BP apparatus and stethoscope, spirit or sterlium, cotton swabs, kidney tray, plain water, paper bag and pen and paper for documentation. How to use the thermometer for checking temperature? First method is by mouth. Let us see how to do the procedure of taking temperature by mouth. First of all, explain the procedure to the conscious patient. Second, thermometer and the cotton swab should be ready and kept in a tray. Ask the patient if he has eaten or drunk something through mouth. If so, then wait for 10 to 20 minutes. Otherwise, the thermometer will not record the actual body temperature. It will give the false result. Then rinse the thermometer with plain water and wipe it dry by cotton. Read the thermometer and shake it down to the mercury level down to 95° Fahrenheit or to 35° Celsius. Ask the patient to open his mouth and place the thermometer under his tongue. Instruct him not to bite on the thermometer or press hard on the thermometer, and close his lips gently. The thermometer should be kept for 2 minutes for correct reading. Take the thermometer out from the mouth and check the reading. Bring the column of the mercury down to 95° Fahrenheit with a shake. Make sure to stand away from any object while shaking the thermometer. This is to avoid the breaking of thermometer. Then clean the thermometer in plain water, wipe it dry and keep it in the proper container or Dettol solution. Then second method is by taking temperature through axilla. For this, wipe the axilla with a cotton or gauze piece to make it moisture free, because moisture will give the false reading. Bring the mercury of thermometer down to 95° Fahrenheit. Then place the bulb of thermometer in the hollow of the axilla. Then bring the arm of the patient across the chest so that the bulb is in contact with the patient's skin. Then add 1° Fahrenheit in the reading when the temperature is taken axillary or by axilla. Then bring down the reading to 95° Fahrenheit again, clean the thermometer, wipe it dry and keep it in properly for the container for thermometer. World Health Organization, the Global Body Monitoring Health, has set some reference points for vital signs in adults and aging adults, which is shown in your study material. The WHO data is provided only as a reference point and it is at best an indicative value. Under no circumstance should the caregiver assume that vital signs would be in the same range for each elderly person. It could be different for every elderly person. Each elderly person can have different range of vital signs, and in case of any doubt, the caregiver must consult the treating doctor. There are few contraindication of using oral thermometer. That means the conditions where we cannot use thermometer in the mouth. These conditions are infants and children. In infants and children, we can't take temperature by mouth. Unconscious patients, inflammatory or surgery of mouth, frequent cough, mouth breathing patients, very weak patients who cannot close their mouth. In those patients also we can't take temperature by mouth. Very old and weak patients, patients with seizures, and patients who have just taken or who have just drank some hot or cold drinks. In that case also we cannot take temperature through mouth. Then contraindications of taking axillary temperature, like skin disease, any axillary operation. Now let us talk about checking pulse. Pulse rate represents the number of times a heart beats in 1 minute. Pulse is felt at the wrist joint, but it can be felt at any point where artery passes over the bony surface. Pulse is the expansion of the arteries. This expansion is caused by an increase in blood pressure pushing against the elastic wall of the arteries each time the heart beats. These expansions rise and fall in the time with the heart as it pumps the blood and then rests as it refills. The pulse is checked to see how well the heart is working, and in any emergency situation your pulse rate can help to find out if the heart is pumping the enough blood or not. Help in finding the cause of symptoms such as an irregular or rapid heartbeat, that is called palpitations, dizziness, fainting, chest pain or shortness of breath. An extremely slow pulse combined with the dizziness can indicate shock and help identify internal bleeding also. A pulse that is too quick, on the other hand, points to high blood pressure and cardiovascular problems. The various sites for checking pulse are temporal, that is front of the ear, then carotid in the neck, brachial the elbow, and femoral the groin region, popliteal the knee region, and the apical pulse which is located in the fifth intercostal space at the apex of the heart. Radial in the wrist and pedal in the foot. These were the sites where we can take the arterial pulses. Then procedure for counting the pulse is, firstly, put the patient at ease by telling what you are going to do. Make sure the patient either sits or lie down. Use 3 fingers to feel the pulse, the index finger, the middle and the ring finger. Do not use thumb to feel the pulse, as the thumb has its own pulse and it will interfere with the reading. Do not give more pressure also. Record the pulse for full 1 minute. The pulse ranges from 70 to 80 beats per minute in an adult and 60 to 70 beats per minute in an elderly, while the average pulse rate is 72 beats per minute. But this can vary depending upon the conditions such as age, stress level, fitness and any medication the person is taking. Now we will talk about the respiratory rate. Respiration. It is a process of exchange of gases between the oxygen and the carbon dioxide present in the lungs. Respiration is the process by which the energy is released from the food in our body. The breathing in and out of the air is called inspiration and breathing out of the air is called expiration. Breathing rate is considered as a vital sign as it indicates the flow of oxygen in the body. Breathing rate of an elderly person helps to evaluate their health conditions. The breathing rate range for adults is between 12 to 20 breaths per minute. The procedure for taking the respiration or the respiratory rate are: the respiration rate can be counted while the patient is lying down or sitting comfortably on a chair. Count the rise or fall of the chest or abdomen for 1 minute. If there is any abnormality in the respiration rate, it must be brought to the notice of the senior nurse or the consultant doctor. The pulse and the respiration can be counted at the same time while taking the temperature. Temperature for 2 minutes and pulse for 1 minute, that is respiration for 1 minute. If the breathing rate is higher than 20 per minute, it indicates that the oxygen supplied to our body parts is inadequate. Lower breathing rate indicates abnormality of the lungs. Both high and lower breathing rates must be brought into the notice of the doctor on duty. Let us talk about blood pressure. What is a blood pressure? During each heartbeat, the heart pumps blood flows in different parts of the body within the blood vessels and exerts a certain pressure on the walls of the vessels. This pressure is known as blood pressure. An increase in the blood pressure can damage body organs and a decrease causes insufficient supply of blood to the vital organs, which can also result in damage of these organs. Low blood pressure shows that flow of the blood to the organ may not be adequate. Therefore, blood pressure is a good indicator of the elderly person's health. During each heartbeat, blood pressure varies between a maximum, that is the systolic, and a minimum, that is diastolic pressure. A person's blood pressure is usually expressed in terms of systolic and diastolic pressure and is expressed as millimeter of mercury. For example, it could be 128 by 83 or 110 by 65 or 145 by 95 mm of Hg, that is millimeters of mercury. The normal blood pressure of an individual adult is 120 to 80 mm of Hg. This is the normal reading. Now, what is the apparatus used for measuring blood pressure? Sphygmomanometers or BP apparatuses are the apparatuses which are used for measuring blood pressures. There are two types of BP machines available, that is the manual sphygmomanometer and the digital sphygmomanometer. What is a stethoscope? It is used to measure the heart rate and auscultate the heart. The old one involves a mercury gauge while the modern one is automatic and it has only one reading meter. The older BP apparatuses has a pressure cuff that is wrapped around the patient's left arm and a hand bulb which is used to pump air into the pressure cuff and the mercury gauge. The mercury level keeps the rising as the hand bulb pumps the air into the pressure cuff. The BP apparatus is used along with a stethoscope that is used to hear the sounds generated as the blood flows through the blood vessels. The drum of the stethoscope is placed under the pressure cuff on the arm. Steps to measure the blood pressure are, there are some basic steps which should be taken care of while measuring the blood pressure of the patient. First of all, explain the procedure to the patient. Then ensure that the patient is relaxed on the bed and is in a comfortable position on the bed. If required, the caregiver can make the elderly person relax on two pillows. If the patient is overexcited, then the blood pressure should not be taken. Ask the patient to extend the arm so that the caregiver can tie the pressure cuff around the left arm of the patient, and the drum of the stethoscope has to be placed under the pressure cuff. This way the sound of blood can be heard nicely. The hand bulb is used to inflate the cuff to create the maximum pressure. This is indicated in the mercury gauge by rise in the level of mercury. The cuff is inflated till the sound of blood flows stops. Next, the pressure cuff is deflated using the release valve provided along with the hand bulb. The mercury level indicates the pressure drop. First reading is taken as the first sound of blood is heard again as systolic blood pressure, and the pressure cuff is then deflated until the sound of the normal blood flow starts to be heard again. The second reading is heard when the blood flow sound is heard normally. It is called the diastolic blood pressure. The pressure cuff is removed from the arm of the patient. The caregiver notes the reading in the medical record. This was about the traditional or the manual BP apparatus. Now, in the modern BP apparatuses, the entire process is automated. The caregiver ties the pressure cuff to the left arm of the patient in a similar way. Then next the caregiver switches the BP apparatus on, and after a few seconds, the BP reading flashes on the monitor. Some of these machines also indicate the pulse rate of the patient also. This is the way of measuring the blood pressure through an automated one. Now, lastly, vital signs has to be recorded. What is vital signs recording? This is the most important part, as in this we will record the patient's vital sign parameters, like it should be documented with date, time, temperature, pulse, respiration and blood pressure, and it should be put with the remarks at the end, and it will inform to the duty doctor or to the next person or to the next caregiver about the condition of the patient, just to maintain the continuity of care. Let us talk about blood sugar test now. What is a blood sugar test? A blood sugar test is a procedure that measures the amount of sugar or glucose in the blood. Normal blood sugar ranges from 70 to 100 mg per deciliter, that is milligram per deciliter. a blood sugar level less than 140 milligram per deciliter is normal, which is a random reading. A reading more than 200 milligram per deciliter after 2 hours indicating diabetes. A reading between 140 to 199 milligram per deciliter indicates pre-diabetic condition. Why should we monitor or why should we measure blood glucose or blood sugar? It can be used as a screening tool for diabetes. It is an important tool in the assessment of unwell patients, especially the young or the old. It is potentially life-threatening extremes of blood glucose which can be detected to enable the patient, caregiver or health worker to respond to high blood sugars, that is hyperglycemia, and low blood sugars also, which is hypoglycemia, by adjusting the diet or using insulin injections. When to measure blood glucose? Blood sugar or blood glucose should be measured whenever your patient with diabetes is feeling unwell in any way. In the diabetic patient also, it should be measured before surgery to ensure that the patient is not going to become unwell during surgery and or after the general anesthesia. Measure regularly until the patient is eating, drinking normally and the blood glucose is stable. In the newly diagnosed diabetic patients, more frequent measurements are needed until the blood sugar is stable. What are the articles which are needed for measuring blood glucose? So, the articles required are blood glucose monitor, the test strips, check that they are in their date is not expired and they have not been exposed to the air, alcohol swabs, single use safety lancets, gloves, cotton wool, sharp box. Now, what are the steps to measure blood sugar? For measuring blood sugars, first of all check the working condition of your glucometer, wash hands, explain the procedure to the patient, insert a test strip into the glucometer, use your lancet or the lancing device on the side of your fingertip to get a drop of blood. Touch and hold the edge of the test strip to the drop of the blood and wait for the result. Your blood glucose level will appear on the meter's display board. Record the reading in the patient's file and inform it to the doctor or the nurse on duty immediately. Destroy the used needle and strip. Keep the glucometer safely. Again wash your hands. For this certain points are to be remembered, like patient safety and comfort. For this, be aware of the normal blood glucose level. Find out what is normal for particular individual patient by asking them and or checking their notes of or file. Take universal precautions as blood is being handled. Use aseptic techniques as the skin is being punctured, while it would be unusual for infection to occur because it can result in skin breakdown. Patients with diabetes tend to heal less frequently and may not deal with such kind of infections as compared to the normal patients. Then invite the patient to do the procedure if they self test regularly, provided they are familiar with the particular apparatus. They will be better at it than the health worker. Take the opportunity to take the patient's technique. Documentation must always be complete. The caregiver must record everything that is being done and everything that is being observed. So, hope you have gained the knowledge from the above discussion. Thank you.